I celebrated my birthday earlier this month, and I had this idea that as we close out the end of the year and step into the new year, it would be a great opportunity to not only reflect on the year, but reflect on life up until this point as I enter into a new decade of my life and a completely different chapter in the sense of what the direction that I thought my life would be going and what it actually looks like. So I've been doing a lot of reflecting on those things, and there's so many things that I've learned along the way. Most of them have been in the more recent years, but this video is to share the really important and pivotal things that I've learned up until this point that have really helped me change and become me. Be more fully me, be more authentically me, be the person that I came here to be in this lifetime. So let's begin. I have to start this first one with as like the most important one. And I was thinking of saving this to the end, but I was like, this has to be the start of where we have this entire conversation. One of the most important things that I've learned in my life up until this point is the importance of loving yourself. And the only way that I have learned to ever change anything that I have desired to change is through love. Love has been the catalyst for change 100% of the time. There have been many periods throughout my life where I have wanted to look different. I've wanted to be in better shape. I've wanted to have a certain title at my work. I've wanted to grow and progress and have a different experience of what I'm having and be a different version of myself than what I was. The only way for me to learn to move through that time and time again, it took me a while to learn this, but the only way that I truly learned to move through that was by loving myself completely and fully for where I was. And I had to understand that who I was, where I was, everything about that was subject to change. Like it could change. I was not stuck forever in certain thoughts, in certain habits, in certain beliefs, in certain programs. I could change anything that I wanted. But if I did not accept that at some point along the way, whether it was outside influenced in or some other thing that I could not understand fully in that moment, I had to still learn to accept and love who I was at that moment in time. And this was really hard because I had a lot of really challenging experiences in my early childhood and growing up. So learning to love myself through that was very difficult because there were many times in my life where I felt like this shouldn't have happened and I should have been able to stick up for myself, or I should have said something, or I should have done something different. And I had a lot of experiences that I couldn't explain why I was feeling that way and why that happened. Like there was no logical explanation in my mind. Like, how could this have happened to me? Um, and I learned that I don't need to have a logical explanation for something in order to accept and love the experience and the feelings and the emotions and everything around what occurred. And so those were really difficult experiences to go back and reflect on, but I had been carrying with them with me through so much of my life, trying to solve the answer, trying to understand why, trying to understand what happened, why was I this way, how could I have been different, what could have happened differently, why did this happen to me? Um, and there was no way for me to move through that without accepting that I don't need to know in order to love. I don't need to know in order to accept. All I need to do is love myself, my experience now and then unconditionally, and let it be okay that I experienced what I experienced and that I have the feelings that I have. I don't need a logical explanation I need love and acceptance for myself. It doesn't excuse other people. It doesn't excuse myself. It doesn't excuse anything. It just brings love and acceptance unconditionally to the moment. And it's through that that you can move through the pain and the guilt and the shame and everything that you carry from certain experiences. And until you meet yourself with love unconditionally, with every aspect of who you've been and every aspect of your life, until you can do that, you stay in holding patterns and in beliefs and thoughts and repeating memories and experiences within yourself until you can meet yourself. So I signed up for a not for a challenging experience, for several challenging experiences, and I have come to meet those experiences with unconditional love. I have tried and fought and sought so many ways to find, seek vengeance and revenge and hatred and ill will and all of it inward and outward. Like I have sought so many different ways, and love was always the answer. I had to love myself through the experience. I had to bring unconditional love and unconditional acceptance to everything that happened. And it was when I did that that I started to get answers and I started to understand and I started to come to my own peace with the experiences that happened. Peace is what I was desiring. Peace is what I didn't feel that I had. And to love yourself, sit with yourself, be with yourself so unconditionally, so in love and an acceptance of everything that you've been through, every version of yourself that you've been, to be that present with yourself brings such a state of peace that is so unmatched to any experience that I've ever had. So this is the place that we start is here because this is like the way change is brought about. Love is the change. And the more that you can bring that love for yourself into every experience that you have, the more alive you will feel, the more at peace you will feel, the more at home within yourself you will feel. This second lesson that really solidified for me this year was it's okay to fall out of love with something that you love. This is something that is like hard to accept when we say yes to the process of change, because oftentimes we think of changing, some sort of like negative aspect or something that we don't want and moving towards something that we do, right? But inevitable in all elements of change is that it can be anything and change can come from anything. And oftentimes, sometimes that change can feel like we are no longer in love with what we were in love with. And I'm not necessarily talking about people or relationships in this, but the example that I have for this is actually in dance. So I started dancing a lot back in 2019. I picked up country line dancing and a little bit of swing here and there. And I loved it. And for years, I was going 2 to 3 times a week, going out and dancing. And this year, I moved. So I moved like physically. So I was like further away from the places that I used to go to. But there was something that happened where the experience of dance was something that wasn't bringing me as much joy as it had in the past. And it wasn't about the time that it took for me to get to the dance location. It wasn't necessarily about the people at the dance. It was just that the whole experience of dancing was something that filled my heart for so many years and was a really good way for me to connect with people in the community and build friendships and get a workout in and learn new skills. But it's something that wasn't bringing me as much joy this year. And so I started to go less and less. And I just found myself feeling like this isn't something that is bringing me as much joy as I thought that it had, like as it had in previous years. And I had to let that be okay. And for a long time, dance was like a big part of my identity and a big part of my creative expression and what I love to do. And that was something that was a little bit hard for me to come to terms with and in the theme of change because it was something that I loved and it became something that um, wasn't bringing me as much joy. So, in that transition, I recognize that there are things, okay, if this isn't something that is bringing me as much joy, then maybe I'm moving in a different direction towards something that will. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a physical activity or anything like that. It can be anything. But now that I have this time and space in my experience in my life, what do I want to invest my time in? What do I want to explore? I am a natural learner. I love learning new things. I love just having different experiences and learning like as many things as I possibly can. So it really opened up the door and the opportunity for me to get curious again, be a beginner again, and start learning things that um, I may not have put as much time and attention to in the past, but it opened that doorway for me to learn and be curious about discovering something new. Number three. Okay, this one is a fun one. So, this lesson that I learned, or what really solidified for me this year, was it's okay to do your own thing. And the example that showed up the most in this was that I surprised myself and I surprised many other people that know me, like in close proximity, with my design and taste in how I wanted to decorate my home. So I moved this year and I had the opportunity to completely design what I wanted to. And um, I had to get all new furniture and get all of like kitchenware and everything. So I really just started from scratch. And in the past, I've been really drawn to modern, simple, like sleek styles. And it was so interesting because as I started to look online and as I started to be drawn towards different furniture and different artwork and things like that to decorate my home, I found myself moving in a completely different direction than what I thought I was going to do. And so that in and of itself was a surprise to me. But it surprised my immediate family and friends even more to see me go through this process of what I thought I wanted and what I thought I liked and have a completely different outcome than what I was envisioning or expecting. So my home now is filled with a lot of like natural woods. Like I want everything wood. I want everything as natural as possible. Like really just like as close to the elements of Earth as possible. Um, and so that's what a lot of my furniture reflects. That's what a lot of my artwork reflects. And it's even what is reflected in my kitchen. So instead of going and buying a bunch of new silverware and plates and all of that stuff, I ended up going and getting actual china. And it's so interesting because China is often seen as something that you only use on special occasions, and it's in a lot of the older generations' homes, and people of younger generations don't necessarily value China as much as it was valued in um, previous generations. But there was an element of it that I really loved. And I was really surprised by this because I would have thought that this would not have been my design or choice or anything of that nature. But the element of history, the element of where the china came from, because I knew exactly like where it came from, um, was something that was so like just resonated with me so much more than going out and buying like stuff from IKEA or wherever you get dishes and stuff these days. I don't even know. But I had so many comments on this because so many people were like, China's so out. Like, so many people are trying to get rid of China. Why would you want China? And to me, it's like, it's so special that I get to experience it and I get to experience it in an everyday use type of way. So bringing things that are seen as like very valuable at one point in time and having it be integrated into your everyday life has allowed me the experience to appreciate so deeply the lineage, the history, the beauty of how these things were so delicately created and crafted. And it just brings me an experience to eating. It brings me an experience to food in general that is so much more intentional and so much more rich and alive and beautiful um, than I ever could have imagined. And so it was a surprise to me to see myself being drawn towards this and to be drawn towards something that a lot of people these days aren't as um, inclined to go towards, but it's brought me such an incredible experience and such a rich experience to be able to move in a direction that feels so aligned with me and to know that it's okay, that it doesn't matter what other people are saying about China. It doesn't matter what the perceived value of what it is that I like is, whether what it is that I like is perceived as being worth millions of dollars or what it is that I like as being perceived as worthless. Like we all get to have and choose what our own affinity is towards and what our own value is. And we can create intentionally and enjoy the experiences that we have with whatever it is that brings us joy. And so for me, having this china in my home and having to use it, getting to use it every day, like just making tea in the mornings and like drinking from real china mugs, it's just like this feeling of like such presence and such love and appreciation for every possible thing that I could. It brings me so much gratitude to be able to just celebrate in the art and the beauty of what this represents. And so, so many elements of my home bring that inspiration, bring that gratitude and that joy to me. And it surprised myself. Like, I really did surprise myself along the way as I got furniture and furnished my home. But it's what I like and it's what brings me joy. And so, to be able to know that I can have and move in the direction that I love and what that means to me and not let the outside noise dictate what I choose and what I don't is really freeing. So I am very happy with how everything turned out and I'm happy that I listened to what it is that I love and now I get to live in a home that is so beautiful and I love it. Number four. This is something that really solidified for me this year, and it is learn to be your biggest cheerleader. Learn to be your biggest supporter. Learn to be the person that you turn to. Learn to be the person for you that you need and that you want to be around and that you desire and that you like just learn to be that person for yourself. So often people think that it's their parents' responsibility or their partner's responsibility or their friend's responsibility to keep up with their lives and to always be aware of what's going on and to be cheering you on and to be supporting you in one way or another, whether that be physically, emotionally, mentally, financially. Like there are so many ways that you can receive support, but it's no one's responsibility to be a certain way. It's no one is required to love you. No one is required to support you. No, like in the pure essence of it, like you can say from like a maybe a legal standpoint or a financial standpoint, like yes, parents should support their little children, and things like that. But in the bigger picture, in the grand scheme of things, especially for most of you who are watching these who are adults now, like no one is required to do anything for you ever, like ever. And the gift and the joy of this life is getting to experience the natural and effortless way in which people express their love and their care and their support for you. But if you can't first support yourself and you can't first love yourself and you can't first be the one for yourself, expecting anyone to fill that role is really difficult and can lead to a lot of disappointment and frustration. So when it comes to the little things in your life and the big things in your life, let all of those be opportunities for you to celebrate, to support yourself, to show up for yourself, to be the one that's there through it all, through the high highs and through the low lows. You are with you throughout your entire life. Be the person that you can count on. Be the person that can show up for you time and time again. If you've had a bad day, be the person that you want to be to show up for yourself. Understand your needs, understand what it is that you need when you've had a bad day. Understand what it is that you need when you have a great win and you need to be celebrated and you want to celebrate. Learn to be your biggest supporter, learn to be your biggest cheerleader. And you will find that as you celebrate yourself, as you are there for yourself, as you show up for yourself time and time again, people will naturally come into your life to reflect that expression with you. Not for you, but with you. Because who you are and what you emanate is, it's like shines out from your heart. It it's the natural expression. When you are in a state of joy, that just exuberates out of you. That expression of joy is just so beautiful. And the people that are attracted to that are also in that same resonant frequency. And so they celebrate and you join together with others who are also in that state, in that frequency, in that love for themselves, in that care for themselves, in that support for themselves. So when you learn to be your biggest supporter, to be your biggest cheerleader, you will naturally bring into your life the people that are going to support you and be with you along your journey and throughout your whole life and throughout the ups and the downs, throughout this season of your life and longer if you choose it. But it's up to you first. So learn to be that person for yourself. And where one stands, many will gather. So become the person that stands for you. This last one, number 5, I've been learning and practicing for years, but this year it really solidified for me. And this lesson is how to learn to stabilize your life. Mm. Something that I have struggled with for so many years is feeling like I was stable, safe, and secure in my own body, in my finances, in my relationships, in my experience with all of life. And so when I really took steps this year to learn this and to practice this in a completely different way, it required so much from me to become aware of and to let go of. I had lived a life up until this point that felt very unstable and very reactive and very contingent upon external circumstances. And a lot of my emotional safety and emotional stability and um, a lot of that was built on a foundation that needed to be demolished and rebuilt. So this past year, I spent a lot of time focusing on that, literally physically in the 3D world. Like, one, buying my own place, building my own home, like literally buying a place and making the place my home. That was like a really big um, piece for the stability for me in the 3D experience. And then two, building emotional stability within myself, which means being able to meet myself at any given point in time and be there for me. This is something that I feel is so, so, so important because without a solid foundation, our ability to plant roots and to grow is a function of our ability and how deep we can root into our foundation. So when our foundation is shaky at best, it's really hard to build and grow on something that could completely tumble over or be a response or a reaction to something at any given point in time. So learning to show up for myself emotionally time and time again in all with all emotions and all experiences was something that I needed to learn. Learning to be a stable presence for myself, no matter what emotion I was experiencing. Learning to build financial stability for myself, something that I've been working on for many years and is the profession that I'm in, but learning to put into practice the things that I teach on and the things that I know and the things that I learn um, was another element of that for me. And so there's so many things that you can think about when it comes to stabilizing, um, coming up with routines, consistent routines. So, and this doesn't mean, I don't mean this to be rigid or structured in the way that you live your life, but I mean finding something that helps you stabilize. And that yes, that can come from internal, but that can also be a habit that you have, that you build, that you cultivate for yourself. So whether that's a daily walking routine or something like something that keeps you stabilized, and it doesn't have to be a specific um, action or a specific thing, but you can use the action or the thing to bring presence and awareness to the stability that you are building and creating for yourself. So it's not like the external is the reason for me to feel stability. It's that I feel stable, I feel secure, I feel safe within myself. And as a result of those experiences, it is honoring and loving of myself to move in this way, to go to the gym and work out, to go for a walk, to eat healthy, to do this, to do that, whatever. Like if you start at the center of what the value is and move outward, that's what I'm getting at. And that's what I was really focused on this year. So, um, living from the inward out, I was able to cultivate and understand and learn better what habits support me, what um, ways of thinking support me, what beliefs support me, and what beliefs don't. Like, does it support me to believe that my parents don't really care about me? Does that really like support me? And does that really make me feel like I have a stable and healthy relationship with my parents? No. So how can I experience that differently? How can I change that belief? How can I literally change the relationship that I have with them? What can I do? What steps can I take? Like there are so many ways that we can look at these elements of stability and learn to change and evolve and move through. And the element of stability, the core of it has infinite expressions. So what is the expression that feels most natural to you at this time? It can change at any given point, but what feels like a stabilizing expression of stability for you? What feels like a safe expression of safety for you. Um, that can look different for every single person on this earth. So I just share these examples because these are things that have helped me to stabilize, one, have a stable home, one, find habits that really stabilize me, that help me enforce and um, live in a way that feels aligned with supporting myself and being there for myself and caring for myself and my body um, and all of that, putting into habits and practices of creating financial stability for myself. So these are things that as I've explored the expression of stability within myself, as I've built a new foundation for myself, I've learned to develop habits, learned to think differently, learned to cultivate new ways of being that have really supported the stability that I've always desired and I've always dreamed of. So I have really taken action towards learning that this year. And I'm really grateful for that. And there's so much that I could teach on when it comes to this. And I have so many more things that I could talk about. But for now, that element of stability is something that I'm going to be taking with me into the next year because that's something that I worked really hard to build. And I would encourage all of you to find and discover what those innate elements and qualities that you have within you are: stability, safety, love, authenticity, peace, joy. These are universal. Like every every one of us gets access to all of this. It's universal. What does it uniquely look like for you? And how do you want it to look for you? You may have been experiencing in the past an expression of stability that is not really stable, like a shaky foundation. That was your experience of stability. But there is a expression of stability for you that is stable and like rock solid and there for you time and time again through it all. Discover what that is for yourself. Find what that expression is, what that feels like, what that looks like. How does that feel in your body? Like practice what that feels like in your body. Practice what it feels like being safe in your body. Practice what it feels like being loved in your body. Like feel what those experiences feel like and then invite life to show you. Invite life to lead you to that natural expression for yourself. And you will find that those expressions are closer to you than you think. As always, you've got this. We have an incredible year coming up, and it is filled with plenty, plenty, plenty of opportunities. Nothing will stop us, not even the wind. The wind supports us, the nature, the elements, all is supporting us in our evolution and expansion of human consciousness. Maybe go into the new year prepared, ready, ready for blast off, ready for more love. I love you all. Enjoy the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026.